Okay. Let's see here. We gotta let everybody know that we're here. Yes. By all means. And we're gonna go in here. I'm gonna close that. And we're gonna. There we go. There we go. Hey, Nick Neal, how's it going? How's it going? Oh, it's been a few weeks. It has been a few weeks. And I have been busy, and sick, and had bad weather, and all sorts of lovely things since y'all last saw me. Have I played Mafia? No, I don't have the money for Mafia. Hello, Fat Joe. I'd buy Mafia if I had the money for Mafia, but even at $49.99, I don't have the money for Mafia. Come on, everybody. Get on in here. Get on in here. It's 7 minutes till showtime. Let's go. Yes, bills do come first, Nick, and I have a lot of them. I am laden with bill of laden or something. I don't know. Hi, Clean Frame. How's it going? Oh. I have been better, my friends. I have been better. Not necessarily feeling it today, but I wasn't going to make it 3 weeks in a row with no show. So here I am. Or to quote One Bag Pig, here am I. Y'all aren't even going to get that one, so I don't even know why I said it. I'm willing to bet that very few in my fan base know who One Bad Pig is. So, lovely. When we moved here, we needed a new refrigerator, and 8th insisted on getting this fancy schmancy one that does big globe ice cubes. So it makes these big round ice cubes. They look like little transparent golf balls. Well, I'm glad you enjoy the show, Fat Joe. Keep on coming to watch the show, and you'll get to enjoy it even more, Joe. Dad jokes. I got them. Ooh, arthritis. I got that too. Man. Look what it's doing to that knuckle. That's not just a callus there, folks. Oh, God. Oh, it hurts. It hurts. Oh, God. 4 minutes till show start. And we'll be getting a move on here. am not feeling it today. No, sir, lads. My age is starting to catch up to me. Yes, 8th has his own car. 8th is not here, in fact, because he is at a pool party with his friends. I watched the first new South Park episode. Wasn't all that impressed with it, and I haven't watched the second one yet. Not because it was making fun of Trump. It's just that there was really no plot to the episode. It was just about making fun of Trump. So, you know, and what little plot it did have, it ripped off from their own movie. From all the way back in 1999. It was just 30 minutes of rehash. I was really disappointed in them. Anyway, 3 minutes to go. 3 minutes to go. I can already tell this is going to be a bad tummy night. I can feel it. I can just feel it. I can feel it. I feel it so bad. Do you ever go through gaming fatigue? Yeah, I've been going through gaming fatigue for about a month now. It's like I sit down and I'm like, what do I want to play? Nothing. I'm going to watch Dexter reruns. That's been my life for about a month. It's like I'll sit down to play a game, and then I'll just end up rewatching something that I've already watched rather than play. I don't know why that is. That's just how it's been recently. There's just nothing really out there getting its hooks into me, you know? Making me really want to sit down and hammer away at it. I've watched all the episodes of Dexter Resurrection so far, yeah. It's certainly better than the previous one, the Dexter Bloodlines or whatever it was called. It's certainly better than that one. But it is kind of campy, you know. He follows his son to New York and gets hooked up with a secret club of serial killers that's run by Peter Dinklage. It's campy. It's really campy compared to the original show. Almost there. Almost there, and we'll be ready to get this show on the road. Okay. It's Saturday, 6 o'clock, August 9th, 2025, and this is the 7th Cast. As always, I'm your venerable host, your friendly neighborhood 7th. 8th is at a pool party with his friends. So, and I don't even know where the dog is. I think she's taking a nap in the bedroom or something. I don't know. Anyway. So, it's been 2 weeks since we last got together here. Still do not have the table yet because I can't order it yet. And the reason I can't order it yet is because YouTube has still not sent me the money. I suspect that I won't get it until the 20th or 21st of this month. So on the 21st of this month, we will be ordering the table to go upstairs. Has there been any other developments? None that I can think of. I haven't had the money to buy anything, so there haven't been any additions to the collection since the last time we spoke. In fact, the only expenditure that I've had outside of bills since the last time we spoke was me and 8th went to see Fantastic Four. I enjoyed it. It was certainly better than Fanforstic. I don't really feel that I enjoyed it on that much of a higher level than the original two that Fox made, despite the advance in special effects. Really, it was slow. Had great character development, but it was slow. It was the opposite of Superman. Superman crammed a bunch of characters in it, didn't have adequate time for good character development for all of them, but had a lot of action and adventure and fun. Fantastic Four had lots of character development, 2 major action scenes. And one of them was very disappointing. The final battle of the film was really, really disappointing and basic. I kept watching the whole scene, wishing that Godzilla would just rise up out of the bay and kick the crap out of Galactus, because that's how boring it was. It was very slow. I enjoyed it, but then again, I can sit and watch a slow-moving movie and still get something out of it. It was not the movie that Marvel needed to light a fire under the MCU. And the box office is showing that. It's not earning money near as fast as Superman did. In fact, it had an 80% box office drop from first weekend to second weekend, whereas Superman only had like a 54% drop. So, they can tell you that Superman was a flop all they want. It's right on the cusp of breaking even and going into profitability, about another $40 million, and it'll cross into that mark. And that ain't the case with Fantastic Four. And considering the fact that Captain America bombed and Thunderbolts bombed, this was not what they needed to happen. They needed Fantastic Four to be a hit, and people just didn't show up. The last several years of crappy movies have destroyed any confidence that casual viewers of the MCU had. So only the diehards are showing up, and it ain't enough. Anyway. Got any 4K TV recommendations? I'm finally upgrading to a PS5 Pro. I need to replace my TV. The one that I want is $1,600, and I don't have $1,600 to spend on it. What I was planning on getting, I think it's the LG CE4 or something like that. It's a 77-inch 4K, 120 hertz refresh rate, OLED, HDR, blah, blah, blah. And it's about $1,600. And I just don't have it. So I've got to wait until next year to get it. May not even get it then, because I'm the type of guy that I don't like to replace things until they break. And, my TV is a 70-inch 4K. It's only 60 hertz. It's an LCD. It's not all that great picture-wise, but it still works. It still works. So why would I want to spend the money to replace it when it ain't broke? Top 3 beat-em-ups. X-Men, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Streets of Rage 2. Hey, 7th, I've been having fun playing the Battlefield 6 beta. Too bad you don't play FPS. Even if I did, Tokes, I wouldn't have the money to buy a copy to play it. So, I'm poor right now. 7th is poor. No donations right now. No donations, and because all of that, you remember, all of that went towards the table, and we didn't have any. We had $7 in donations the last time I was here. So people keep asking me, hey, have you played this game? Hey, have you played that game? I haven't played any games because I don't have the money to buy any. If I did have money to buy a game right now, it would be Mafia, because Mafia looks like an Uncharted ripoff, and I've been itching to play an Uncharted type game, but I don't have $50. So I can't play Mafia. You know I'm not going to play it digital. You know, I want a physical copy. So I would need $49.99, which I don't have. That being said, quick reminder, this is a 3-hour podcast that can be extended by donation. If we can make it to $50 tonight, that extends it by an hour. Another 50, 2 hours. If we get to 150, it extends it to a 6-hour stream, if I can make it through that. Not feeling my best today. But if it happens, it happens. I don't think it will. But if it happens, it happens. Have you played River City Girls? I have the first one. I haven't played the second one. The Battlefield 6 beta is free. Yeah, but again, you know I'm not into the whole online multiplayer thing. First-person shooters, yes. You know, I'll play Borderlands all day long. But competitive shooters, no. No, thank you. I had my fill of that years and years ago. $7 from Darkstar Angel. So far, is your house and neighborhood pretty safe? Yeah, I can't. We have cops that live in the neighborhood, so next to nothing happens out here. I can't think of a time that I've heard or seen cops called out here, aside from one instance where somebody was driving through the neighborhood drunk and they slammed into the fence around the community pool. They were lucky they didn't drive into the community pool, but no, they just rammed a big hole in the fence that had to be repaired. But other than that, we're good. We're good. Nothing really goes on around here. Thank you for the $7, Darkstar. All right. That means we're just $43 away from extending by an hour and $43 away from me being able to get Mafia 3 or Mafia 4 or whatever it is. It's Mafia 4. That's the one people keep asking me about. And if we do get enough for me to buy Mafia 4, I'll make a review of it. Because that was my original rule, remember? That if you guys donated enough for me to purchase a game that y'all wanted to see me play, I would review it. Remember that? 7th remembers. I would like to have the Heretic and Hexen remaster for PS5, but again, I don't have the money to buy it. If I had the money to buy it, I would review it. I will review it. The only game that I'm going to have the money to get this month is the physical edition of the RoboCop expansion because it's only $29. I'll be able to afford that because it's just $29. I can put that on a credit card and just pay it off $5 a month. Oh, top 3 kart racers. Well, if you've been watching me long enough, Nick, you would know that I don't really do the whole kart racing thing. Not really into kart racers. Are you interested in the Demio D&D game? I don't know what that is, Raymond. Obviously, I know what D&D is. I don't know what Demio D&D games are. Anyone who has the original Heretic and Hexen gets the update for free. They're cheaper than that. Well, I don't have those. And now, if they made a physical edition of it that I could buy for PS5, I would consider it. If I can afford it. I don't have the money either. My critique of both movies without spoilers is Fantastic Four is more of a film, while Superman is more of a popcorn flick. Well, Superman was just a more fun film to watch. Let's put it that way. Fantastic Four had great character development. There just wasn't a whole lot going on in that movie. It was very slow, very prodding. Not much going on. How do you feel about John Cena as an actor? He's all right in certain things. In other things, he's horrible. He's kind of like Ice Cube in that regard. Ice Cube in Boys in the Hood, good. Ice Cube in the Friday movies, good. Ice Cube in War of the Worlds, worst acting ever. Holy cow, that movie was awful. And he was awful in it. You could tell each scene where he was reading it off the page. That's how bad it was. That movie was god-awful. It was made by the same guy that did like Friended and Host and these other, Zoom meeting horror films. Made by the same dude. And it was terrible. That's one of the worst movies I've ever sat through. I was laughing through the whole thing because of how bad that movie was. If you guys have been looking to have a good laugh, watch the new War of the Worlds. You'll laugh your ass off. No, and for anyone that's asking, no, I have not seen The Naked Gun. We didn't have the money to go see it. 8th didn't really care about it, so that's one that I guess I'll just catch on streaming when it makes it on the streaming. I won't have to wait long, just a couple months, if that. But no, John Cena, like I said, he's like Ice Cube. He's good in some things, terrible in others. I like him as Peacemaker, and I thought Peacemaker was a funny show. So, I'm interested in seeing the second season, but at the same time, I canceled my HBO subscription because it was getting too expensive. As soon as the final season of Stranger Things hits, I'll be canceling my Netflix too, because Netflix ain't worth $30+ a month. I'm sorry, it's not. Yeah, that Ice Cube, man. Oh, Lord help. And the special effects looked like something the Asylum might have done in 2010. The CG was horrible. Horrible CG. Why aren't you focusing, camera? Absolutely horrid CG. Some of the worst I've seen in a long time. Well, y'all aren't very talkative tonight, are you? Is there something big going on today? There ain't as many of you here today either. I don't have people asking questions, and I don't have as many people here as I normally would have. Where is everybody, and where's all the questions? Come on, y'all. We got to do stuff to keep the interest in. I still got another few hundred hours of what do you call it? It's one of the stats that you have to have on YouTube. Watch time hours. I still got several hundred more hours of watch time hours before I hit the requirement to maintain my partnership. So come on. Come on. We got to make it interesting for the people. For the people! You think they're busy playing Battlefield 6? Well, not I. As someone who was born in the 90s, in diving, I prefer to play retro games. I want to buy an SNES Mini and a Wii to play GameCube and Wii games. I get buying the Wii to play GameCube and Wii games, but why get an SNES Mini when you can just get an SNES? Those consoles are sturdy as crap, man. They're one of the most reliable out there. And they're not that expensive. Just get an original SNES. 7th, if you had a Steam account, I could gift you some games. Well, no, you couldn't, Darkstar, because remember, I like physical. I only get digital games if digital is the only platform available. Consoles this generation are dead with only Switch 2, but even that console is struggling because of the scummy garbage Nintendo is doing. Yeah, I didn't buy one. Are you working on a project after Trey for Life? I'm working on the concept of a project. Unfortunately, because of the fact that we were poor and didn't have a camcorder until I was 17, I don't have lots and lots and lots of home movie footage like my buddy Tyler over at My Retro Life has. So I can't do that. And so for me to cover specific moments of my past, specific memories, the only way that I can do it is either with crappy stock footage that may or may not reflect what I'm trying to get across, or AI footage. And I can't afford AI, and I'm not any good at prompting for AI. So I have reached out to a friend of mine that I've had since I was in high school, and he is learning to be quite a proficient AI prompter, and he has all the new software hotness for that. So he's going to be, we're prototyping now and testing now to see if he'll be able to create the kind of footage that I want for the show that I want to make. And this one will be, it won't be a limited series like Trey for Life was. This will become the primary focus of this channel if it happens. I don't even have a name for it right now. Maybe y'all can help me brainstorm a name for it. Because right now I'm just calling it That Time I Played. Or When I Played. Because what it's about are my direct memories of the first time I played a specific game. And so instead of it just being a review, like a retro review or an angry review, it's going to go over the time period that the game was made in and lead into that. So, it's going to, who was the president? What were the major news stories of the day? What was the number one film at the box office? What was the latest fad? What was the hottest song on the radio? And where was I, and what was I doing? And then it places you in the scene. What did it look like? Who else was there? What did it smell like? What did it sound like? It's putting you in the frozen moment in my head. You remember I did a video years ago about the perfect gaming moment, and I listed several of them. I'm going to turn those into videos that encapsulate a review of the game I'm talking about. And that's going to become the focus of this channel, are making those videos. And so I'm excited about that, but I'm still, because of the fact that I'm having to rely on someone else to make so much of the footage for it, I don't know how quickly I can get these made. They're not going to be super long 30 or 40 minute videos or anything, but it is going to take quite a bit of editing. I'm so thirsty today. From Nick Neal. So I've been playing Fist of the North Star on PS3, and it's okay. The combat feels very stiff, but the story and cutscenes keep me engaged. I know there's a sequel. Have you played it? Yes, I had both of them on PS3. I only platted the first one. I didn't plat the second one. Of the Fist of the North Star games, my favorite, though, is the one that Sega made for the PS4, which is basically Yakuza with a Fist of the North Star wrapping on it. It plays like a Yakuza game, but it's Fist of the North Star, which I think is called Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise. If you've never played it, it's great. I never finished it. I got to the last chapter, and for whatever reason, I just stopped playing, even though I was at the last chapter of the game. I have no idea why. What's your thoughts on Gotham Knights? It's very generic. I have no idea why that game is only running at 30 frames per second when there's multiple open world games on the PS5, especially the PS5 Pro, that look better than that game and run at 60 frames per second. It's mystifying why that game runs as crappy as it does. You're a Yakuza fan and you've got that game? Good. It's a good game to have. It's a very good game to have. I mean, I'd tell you about more games to play, but like I said, I haven't been buying anything. The last time I bought a new game, it was because I'd already pre-ordered and prepaid for it, and it's the video game version of that anime Eden Zero. And it's okay, but its combat is kind of janky, and it's very linear, like a lot of Japanese RPGs are. And then, like Final Fantasy 13, you've got this one large open world area that you can go to. It's got this big, huge map, but it's almost like Sonic Frontiers, because this open world map is just a bunch of random stuff to do. There's nothing that plays into the storyline of the game out there. So you're just running around having random battles. You find all these different structures and stuff, but there's nothing to do. You find these little desert towns and stuff. There's nothing to do there. So yeah, it's a 5 out of 7 at best. Not the worst JRPG I've played, but certainly not the best. And that's pretty much, it. I haven't been buying stuff because I haven't had the money to buy stuff. Nope. Nope. There's been stuff that I wanted to order from Limited Run. I didn't have the money to get those. It is what it is. But like I said, $43 more tonight, and I'll go get Mafia, the new Mafia game this month, and I'll review it. I'm going to take your advice and buy an SNES instead of the Mini. The one I wanted came preloaded with 600 games on it. Yeah, that's not an official SNES Mini. That's a Chinese knockoff. So, yeah, you would get 600 games on it, but the ROMs would probably run like crap, and the controllers would be cheap feeling and not good. You'd be better off, if you were going to go that route, you'd be better off buying one of those Super Console X's that has, like 100,000 games on it. You'd be better off buying one of those. And then get you like an 8-bit-do controller to run on it. But, if all you care about is SNES, then I say just buy a real SNES and start collecting carts. There's a lot of SNES games out there that you can still get for under $20. So have at it. Wow. The chat is dead. Where's all the questions, folks? Is literally everybody playing Battlefield 6 this weekend? Everybody's playing the beta? No love for the 7th in light of Battlefield? Is that what y'all are telling me? Because we got 2.5 hours to go, but, if y'all ain't asking questions, what am I going to talk about? Y'all want me to talk about my week? Because I can tell you what my week is. It's sitting in that recliner working, 10 to 12 hours a day. That's what my week is. I sit in this dark, unlit room for, somewhere between 8 to 12 hours a day working with a laptop on my lap. That's it. I don't go anywhere. I don't do anything. When I got in and out of my car to go see Fantastic Four is the most sunlight that I've had in weeks. I don't go outside. I work. And then when I'm off, I just, bum around. Watch TV, play video games. I only have one friend in this town. He lives 40 minutes away and he's always working. So I don't have lots of hangout friends to keep me interested in going out and doing anything. Billy and Jay are not going to drive 2 hours down here just to hang out with my old fat ass. It's just not going to happen. They got stuff to do. What I really enjoy about your show is that you give your viewers an opportunity to engage with you to make the show more interesting. Well, that's one of the things I hate about watching live streams of YouTubers that I enjoy, is they're way more popular than I am. So when you go to look at their chat window, it's just flying like this. I don't understand how they could ever answer anything. You know, in fact, they're the ones that, the only ones they answer are the super chats. But I'm not like that. I have, small enough of big enough of engagement that I get enough questions to keep the show entertaining, but low enough of an audience base where I can answer each and every question, except for maybe ones that I just don't want to answer because they're dumb. Let's see. What's the weirdest dream you ever had that you can still remember? Well, the weirdest one I've ever had, it was terrifying. I had this when I was a kid. I was floating in this endless void of this multicolor purplish gas, and I could look down and see that there was no ending. There was no ending here. It just went on as far as the eye could see in every direction, and I'm just floating in this void of purple and different weird colors floating around and everything, and I could hear screaming from every direction, just screaming. And that's the dream. There's no plot. I'm just trapped, floating in this endless void, listening to people scream. I had one the other day where me and 8th moved to Arizona, and we lived in this kind of weird postmodern house that was built out of connected round rooms like pods. And in the center of it was a little like courtyard. And the pods that surrounded this little open area had windowed walls where whichever pod you were in, you could look out and see this little courtyard. And standing in that courtyard was a polar bear in Arizona. And 8th in this dream was about 9 years old. And he said, "Dad, look, a polar bear." And he went walking out there, and I'm like, "No, 8th, no." But 8th goes walking out there, and the polar bear starts talking to him. And the polar bear sounds like a little kid. And then the polar bear transformed into another little boy right in front of me. And I'm watching from the window, and so 8th is talking to this little boy. But then suddenly, out of the little boy comes the form of the polar bear again, and the polar bear eats the little boy. And 8th comes running back in and grabs me by the wrist and says, "Dad, we got to get out of here." And he drags me by the wrist into the most center room of the house, slams the door and locks it, and I push a big thing in front of it, and we're just sitting in this dark room with no windows listening to the polar bear eat this kid, and then I woke up. No idea what that means. Oh, and when the polar bear transformed into the little kid looked like Gary Coleman from Different Strokes. Looked like Arnold or whatever his name was on that show. You know, what you talking about, Willis? That guy, that kid. Have you played Expedition 30? Yeah, I've put a few hours into it, and then 8th decided he wanted to plat it, so he took it back upstairs. 8th recently finished platting it, and so I should be able to get back to it eventually once he brings it back downstairs. What was the gaming moment that you wanted so eager to complete but got constantly interrupted by real stuff like school? The original Ninja Gaiden game. One of the reasons that it took me a year to master it and beat it was because I bought it over the summer and then had to go back to school. And so that was limiting how much time I could put into it per day. Because, I had homework and stuff. And so I didn't end up beating it until the following summer, a year later. From Nick Neal, I had a bad dream about my science teacher. I had an exam, and everywhere I went, I saw him, and then I found him in my bed and woke up screaming, "No, I'm not gay." Well, that's certainly weird. Dark Star Angel. That void dream reminds me of all the Doom 3 horror dreams I had as a kid. I dreamed that there was all these giant heads while I was in a fiery void. What hell looked like in Doom 3. Have you played Destroy All Humans remake? Yes, I have. What were your thoughts? I didn't like it. I mean, I was okay with it until it started having so it started to get where the progression got to be annoying. Like, you have to go possess this guy and sneak across without being seen to do this, and I just wanted to blast and kill things. I didn't want to do all this other extracurricular crap. Let's jump into the spaceship that controls like crap, and you have to blow up all these buildings while you're being shot from every direction. I don't like that kind of stuff. I like the one mechanic. Let's stick to it. I want to be an alien running around causing people's brains to shoot out the top of their head. That's all I wanted to do. I had a crazy dream that my next door neighbors were the Munsters. It's not that weird of a dream. I mean, I've talked about this when I was about 7 years old. After I saw E.T., I had a dream that I was Elliot's brother, and that I was living in California in that house with Elliot and his brother and his other brother and sister Gertie, and E.T., of course. And that dream was so realistic that for like almost a year, I had the full set of E.T. the Extraterrestrial bubblegum cards, and one of the cards was a shot of the family. And I kept that in my little Velcro wallet like it was a photo of my family. That's how realistic that dream was to a little 7-year-old. And so I carried them around in my pocket, and I can vaguely remember like sitting and taking that bubblegum card out of my wallet, looking at it, and actually missing them because of how realistic that dream was. And the thing of it is, I had that dream multiple times. So it was almost like I had shared custody between my actual parents and this, movie family. And I'd go to sleep, and I'd wake up in the dream in that other house in California. They'd be playing D&D, or they'd be doing whatever with E.T. running around in the living room. Dreams are weird, man. One time, from Darkstar, one time I dreamed I saw a buff Blackbuster critic preventing me from grabbing a crowbar that I thought to use to break into a white-walled swimming building with evil anime hentai girls. Now I think you're just making crap up. Have you played 007 games besides GoldenEye? Name some of your favorites. I actually wasn't a fan of GoldenEye because I don't like first-person shooters that don't have dual analog sticks. And I can't think of a single James Bond game that I've played that I actually enjoyed. Sorry to burst your bubble there, Nick. Sorry about that. So sorry. Sorry. I'm sorry. I don't even know what Blackbuster Critic is up to these days. I think he has a kid now. At one time he was supposed to meet me at Retropalooza, and he didn't do it. He didn't show up. So, you know how that goes. Have you seen Drawn Together? I saw a few episodes of it. I thought it was okay for what it was. I heard BBC has more than one kid and that he's married. I don't know, because I don't hear from him that much. I'll hear from him every now and again. Do you have? Do you? I think you meant, do you and Eighth have a drink together every now and then? No. Every so often, Eighth will go to a bar with his friends, but I don't do that, and I don't drink with Eighth. Eighth and his friends, there's a bar that they go to that's actually a tabletop role playing bar, where you can go to the bar and drink, and you can either bring your own tabletop role playing games, or you can rent or buy one at the bar and play, play D&D or Call of Cthulhu or whatever the hell you want. What show plot point in a movie or show made no sense to you? Everything that happened after season 4 of Dexter. Dexter just went to crap after season 4. I don't know what they were thinking. Favorite 80s and 90s anime? Well, in the 80s, I didn't have the money to be buying anime, and it wasn't easy to find back then anyway. So, anime-wise, the only things I really knew about in the 80s were G-Force, Voltron, and Speed Racer, pretty much. Well, and Gigantor. Oh, and Superbook. I knew about Superbook. And that Cities of Gold show that was on Nickelodeon. That's all the anime that I knew anything about. And out of all that, my favorite was Voltron, by far. I was addicted to Voltron. No, I watched the first season of True Detective. I tried to watch the shows that came after that, and I just couldn't. The first season of True Detective was great. Everything that came after that was kind of crap. I haven't seen I haven't seen Discipline, whatever that is, Darkstar. From Living Legend, Sup 7th, have you played the new Shinobi demo, and what did you think? It's way better than Ragebound. I haven't played either one. I wanted to pre-order the physical copy of Shinobi from Limited Run Games, but I didn't have the money. Was there something like Dave and Buster's back in your day? No, there was not. There was no such thing as barcades when I was younger. The closest thing to that was just going to a bar that might have a couple video games in it, but was mostly billiards. Like the one that I knew the most from when I was younger was one that was it was actually in the parking lot of what at that time was the Kmart and the Kroger's. And it was a little bar called Side Pockets. And you'd go in there and there was like 2 pool tables and a bar. And that's all that was in there. And me and my friend, who's the one I was talking about that's going to be helping with the AI for these videos, we would go there sometimes after school and play pool. Because even though we weren't old enough to drink, they would let us in there to play pool. We just couldn't drink. What about Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul? Never got into Better Call Saul. Breaking Bad was about as perfect of a drama show as it gets. It even had a satisfying ending, which is so rare. Do you think Donkey Kong Bonanza IGN's 10 out of 10 is valid or no? I don't know, Nick, because I haven't played it. The only thing that I've heard about it from friends that I trust is that it is ridiculously easy, that it feels like a game made for little kids. 7th, did you play Rocket Knight and Sparksters on the Genesis? Yes, I did, but I currently only own Rocket Knight. I don't own a copy of Sparkster at this time. I just got the limited run collector's edition of Rocket Knight Adventures Resparked for the Switch. Yeah, I have the original Genesis cart. I just don't have the Sparkster cart. But I didn't like Sparkster as well as Rocket Knight anyway. I don't know if I'd agree with that, Dark Star. I thought the Mario Galaxy games were adequately challenging for what they were on the Wii. And again, I haven't played Donkey Kong Bonanza or whatever, so I don't know if it's true or not. I just know that several people that I trust the opinions of have said that it's too easy. Remember, no Switch 2, so I have no way of knowing one way or the other. Nope, nope, nope. Unfortunately. And y'all think I was kidding about rewatching Dexter? I rewatched all 8 seasons of it this week. All 8 seasons. Finished the 8th season earlier today. That last season, I mean, 5, 6, and 7 were bad enough, but season 8, oh man, it was terrible. Season 8 was just god awful. What video game story got you excited the most? Probably Uncharted 2. I just really, really liked that game. It's one of my thoughts of like a dang near perfect game. Because it had just the right amount of action and story, cutscenes, humor. It was just a really, really good mix of a game. I came away from that one totally satisfied. Like, yeah. That's what Uncharted 2 was to me. It's a, yeah, game. Will you be getting Bonanza once you get a Switch 2? Well, that depends on whether I ever bother to get a Switch 2. All this crap that's going on with it, people complaining about it overheating and all this stuff with, not really supporting physical the way that it should be. I don't know, man. I don't know. They're not really giving me a worthy reason to buy one thus far. Uncharted 2 and God of War 3 are your favorite games of all time. Well, that's 2 really good games. Can't really fault you there. I mean, my favorite game of all time is Link to the Past, but it's not exactly heavy on story, None of the Zelda games are. You get just enough story to get you by. It's not like you have a really complex narrative going on in those old school Zelda games. Which TV show had your favorite story? I would say the remake of Battlestar Galactica right up until it got to that last episode. Holy crap, that last episode was terrible. They really crapped the bed with that one. It was itchy. It was so itchy. Oh. I haven't, I'm not even aware of. Let's take a look. Let's just take a look since people aren't asking much in the way of questions anyway. See what's all the hubbub bub. Oh, jeez. Ah! Too bright. Oh, God. And it's not the browser settings. It's just that website. Oh, God. I can't do it, guys. I was going to try to look at some gaming news, but it's too bright. Oh, I never got into Samurai Jack in the first place, Dark Star. What would you rate Ocarina of Time? I'm not a big fan of 3D Zelda, to be honest with you, Clean Frame. I prefer the old school, the 2Ds. If you want a good example of wasted character development and contradictory storytelling, look no further than Steven Universe. I would never look in that direction anyway because I don't care for any TV show that uses that banana mouth animation style. Or as some people refer to it as bean mouth. Also known as the Cal Arts style. Or the modern Cal Arts style. I think it looks terrible. I think it looks cheap. And anytime I see that animation style, I instantly avoid that show. Instant avoid. And that's one of the reasons why I have not cared about this newest movie from Pixar that flopped. Because it uses that Cal Arts banana mouth animation style. I hate that style. They use that animation style with Turning Red too. That's why I've never watched that one. Anytime, no matter what company it is, when I see that banana mouth, I ain't watching it. Did you play Link's Awakening on the Switch? I played it for about an hour. And I kept asking myself, why is this not 60 frames per second? And I turned it off. Yeah, I wish all websites offered dark mode too. That's just instant no for me. No matter who's making it, it could be Disney, it could be Pixar, it could be DreamWorks. I don't care. If I see that banana mouth art style, I don't watch it. I will not watch it. I will refuse. I think it looks cheap. I think it's a style that was invented for people that wanted to make a cartoon show but didn't want to take the time to learn actual animation and art techniques. And so they came up with this ultra cheap, ultra low budget animation style that people who were not good at animation could get by with. I think it looks terrible. I think it sucks. And anything that I see that has it is not going to get a watch from me. Just seeing it irritates me. $5 from Got Comics Gate. Thank you for the $5. That reminds me, I didn't give Darkstar a dollar bill. So first of all, dollar bill for Darkstar, dollar bill for Comicsgate. So $5 from Comicsgate. 7th, how you doing? I'm loving Death Stranding 2 right now. Just finished it. Now I'm chasing down the last of the trophies on the platinum. I have Death Stranding 2. I have not played it because I have barely played Death Stranding 1. Is what it is. Death Stranding 2 was one of the last games that 8th bought with his own money. So, anyway, thank you for the $5. That puts us up to a whopping $12, which means we are $38 away from both extending the show by 1 hour and by getting me the funds necessary to buy a copy of Mafia, the newest Mafia game this month, which I wasn't planning on doing, but I will if enough people donate because they want me to review it. Modern Cal Arts has some of the worst characters like Princess Bubblegum. She is evil as blank. Bean Mouth is the worst. Yeah, I just can't stand it. I can't stand it. I mean, I don't consider, when I talk about Bean Mouth, I'm talking about, Pixar's newest film, Steven Universe, Amazing World of Gumball. I don't necessarily mean Adventure Time. I don't think Adventure Time technically falls into Banana Mouth, although it does lean into that easy peasy, cheaper looking animation style that's been coming out of CalArts for the last 15 years. 15, 20 years now. I also known as the good enough art style. Like it's not really artistic, it's not visually impressive, but it's good enough to get a cheap cartoon out there. Hi, Blaze. What restaurant did your dad take you to that you thought had crappy food? Oh, Lord, it was a restaurant up on Highway 58 called the Huddle House. And, you could tell that thing had been there since the 50s. It was the very definition of greasy spoon. And my dad loved to go in there. I hated it. Hated it! And there was also a pit barbecue place on Highway 58 that was called Sweeney's. And he loved to go in there. But it looked like a nasty old barn, and they sold barbecue out of a nasty old barn. That's what it looked like. I have no idea if it's still there, because I haven't been back to Chattanooga since, oh Lord, it's been almost 20 years. Almost 20 years. It's been like 17 years. I haven't been to Chattanooga in 17 years. So I have no idea what the area I grew up in looks like now. The area I'm talking about was the Highway 58 strip just short of the turnoff to Highway 153 leading up to the turnoff to 75. But at Highway 58 used to be where, we did all of our grocery shopping. It's where the video store, all the video stores I went to was. Farther on down Highway 58 was where my high school was. The turnoff to my neighborhood was, etc., etc. What was the craziest customer you saw? Every now and again, no matter where I worked in a customer field, there'd always be at least one person that goes streaking through the store naked. It happened to me at Farmore. It happened to me at Circuit City. It happened at Lowe's. It happened at Campo. It happened at Office Max. Every retail space that I ever worked in, there was at least one instance of somebody getting like stoned out of their gourd, or they were messed up in the head already, and for whatever reason just took all their clothes off and went running around buck naked in the store. The Huddle House on Highway 58 was part of a little strip mall shopping area that was shaped like a letter U with the parking in the middle of the U. And on one side of the U, you had Huddle House, and then there would be stores that went behind it, and then along this way, and then up this way. And on the other end of the letter U was a one-screen Highway 58 movie theater. I have no idea if any of that is still there or not. But that movie theater was nasty. It was nasty. No one wanted to go into that theater because that was where people would go to have sex. They'd take their date to go and get a quick BJ while watching a movie in the theater. So it's like you'd walk in that theater and all the floors were sticky. And let me tell you something. It wasn't popcorn butter. But I actually saw Willow in that theater in 1988 or 89 or whatever year it was. Because it was the closest theater to me that was showing it, and I wanted to see it. I wasn't driving yet. And so, me and my mom and dad actually paid to sit in that theater with all these crazies and watch Willow. It was the one and only time that I ever saw a movie at that theater was Willow. There used to be a country western themed restaurant right around in that area, like back behind that strip, that was owned by a guy that my dad knew, and it ended up burning to the ground. And for years there was rumors that my dad's friend intentionally burned it down to get the insurance money. I don't know if it was true or not, but I do remember eating in that restaurant. It was so strange because that restaurant had no windows. So all of the walls had these really intricate, beautiful Western murals of cowboys and stuff. Every single wall of that restaurant. And no windows. Old-timey wheel wagon chandeliers and stuff. It was very, very Old West, but no windows. Almost like it was originally a strip club and somebody came in and turned it into a restaurant, and that's why there was no windows in there, and they just covered up everything with like this really intricate Western mural that went it was like one continuous piece that went all the way around the restaurant, and then it burned to the ground. Where do you stand on the Persona series? I don't stand on it because that would probably break it. Have you ever went to a range? Oh yeah, my dad took me to both gun ranges and archery ranges from the time I was a kid. I have not played Metaphor ReFantazio. I have it, but I haven't played it. That's yet another one that's up in 8th room. But yeah, my dad used to take me to the gun range. He'd take me to the archery range. I had like a little kid-sized compound bow that he had bought for me. And he would make arrows for me to use. And we'd go to the archery range and he'd let me shoot arrows. It was fun. Do you start falling asleep in your set while gaming? Then, when you decide to go to bed, you feel awake and energized. I'm not sure I follow that sentence, Clean Frame. I'm not sure I follow what you're trying to ask there. Do you start getting... Oh, so you're asking me, do I start getting drowsy while I'm playing a game, and so I decide it's time to go to bed, and I go lay down to bed, and then suddenly, I get this ball of energy and I can't fall asleep? That's what you're asking? No, that's never happened to me. Why is it all of a sudden so bright coming through that window? That's obnoxious. Have you ever encountered a public temper tantrum? Oh, yeah, numerous times. I've seen that happen with little kids, and I've seen that happen with autistic people, and I've seen that happen with women. Lots and lots of women throw temper tantrums on their husbands in public. Oh, look at there. Two hours remaining, and we are at 12 whole dollars in donations. We are $38 away from extending the show by 1 hour, which is unlikely to happen since for some reason we're about 7 to 17 people short of what we normally have in here. Probably because everybody is playing the Battlefield 6 beta instead of listening to me. I think it would be a better idea to let Seventh rest even if he gets $100. I'm not getting $100, Dark Star. That's not happening tonight. Think about it. Do you see Richard in here? No. Do you see Max 88 in here? No. Do you see Box of Donuts in here? No. Is it cool to like Limp Bizkit again yet? I guess. I'll let you have that one. You can have that one, Fat Joe. I know you're here, Blaze. I'm just saying those are the ones that tend to be the biggest tippers on here. You're writing a Sonic fan fiction story. Oh, Lord, don't let Blackbuster Critic hear you say that. Don't let him hear you say that. No. No. And then there's going to be consequences and repercussions. Dang. You know what's crazy is we have a community pool here, and I've lived here for a year now. I never use that community pool. Never use it. I have to pay for it. My homeowners association membership fees cover the cost of the security badges needed for me to get into that community pool. I lost them a few days after I moved in, but even if I hadn't lost those security badges, I still would not go out of my way to go to that community pool. Why? Well, for one thing, I don't have swim trunks, and two, I'm a fat ass, and the only way I'd go to that pool is at nighttime when no one else was using it, so as not to offend anybody with my fat. Yeah. Did you ever listen to Wilford Brim? I don't know if I've listened to him. I've seen several movies he was in. Review Freakier Friday. That would require me to have actually seen Freakier Friday, which I have not. The only Freaky Friday I've ever watched was the original with Haley Mills. I never watched the one with the remake that had Lindsay Lohan in it or whatever. I never watched that one. So I would not be able to review that for you, Fat Joe. It's just not in the cards, baby. Not in the cards. I have been enjoying the new season of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, but one thing I don't like about Strange New Worlds is they do too many gimmick episodes. Like last season, they did the musical episode where there was some weird space phenomenon that was making everybody talk in song. And then so far this season, they had a run-in with one of the Q, although this was when the Q was still acting like Trelane, who trapped everybody in a fake reality where Spock was marrying the daughter of Khan. I can't remember her character's name now. And then we've got another episode coming. We had a holodeck episode where, again, that Khan's daughter or descendant, or not daughter but descendant, is having to solve a mystery on the holodeck, and the holodeck takes over, and where have we seen this before? And it's supposed to be an episode that explains why they didn't, starships didn't have a working holodeck all the way up until the Enterprise D. So that was kind of funny, but it was another gimmick episode. And then you've got a new episode coming where all of the crew get turned into Muppets. Muppets. As in Jim Henson's studio are doing the Muppets for this episode of Star Trek. It's like they want some of that Orville dedication, you know, which even Orville never did anything as wacky as having the whole crew turned into Muppets. I don't know, man. I mean, in some ways this is like the best Star Trek thing they've had in years. Like the opening episode of this newest season where they have a major battle with not a major battle, but a major encounter with the Gorn, and they barely escape alive. That was a really good episode. It felt like really, really good Trek, you know? But ever since from there, it's been weird, gimmicky crap. So I don't know. I love the guy that plays Captain Pike. You know, the cast are great, although I don't like the way they're writing the new Scotty. He just doesn't act like Mr. Scott because, you know, he's second guessing everything. He has no confidence, and I understand that they're supposed to be he's the guy that eventually becomes that Scotty, but it's kind of off-putting to see this Scotty that gets things right, but also doesn't trust his own instincts, kind of thing. You're talking about Blaze. You're talking about Blackbuster Critic. He had several wars with the Sonic fan base. Let's just put it that way. And this is no offense to you, Blaze, but I've never been a big fan of fan fiction in general because most of it does not honor the intentions of the original creator / artist. And a lot of it is just, let's take these two characters who were straight heterosexuals and let's make them gay for each other. Or let's make it to where one of them was actually a trans person the whole time. And crap like that. And I just feel that it disrespects the source material and disrespects the author / creator. Is getting cable back reasonable cause streaming is now the expensive one, ironically? That would just require me to get another box in here that would be a TiVo box equivalent. So, you know, everything I wanted to watch would have to be stored and whatnot, as opposed to just being instant on demand, which is what I like now. I don't like having to, you know, schedule my time to record the show to watch, because then the quality of it is crap. So it wouldn't be worth it to me. And besides which, honestly, Stranger Things is the only original show on Netflix that I care about. So, you know, once you can go out and buy a Stranger Things box set in 4K, I'll never need Netflix again. And that'll really all, in my opinion, in my honest opinion, when it comes to streaming, all anyone needs is Amazon Prime. You get Amazon Prime, and then instead of paying $20 for HBO, you can get it for $9. Instead of paying $20+ for Paramount Plus / Showtime, you can get it for $10. Instead of paying $20 for Crunchyroll, you can get it for $7. You can get them way cheaper by getting them as plugins for Amazon Prime than paying for all the separate channels. So I canceled my $20+ subscription to HBO Max and just got HBO on Amazon Prime, so I could keep watching, you know, Peacemaker and stuff like that. But even then, you don't really need all that, because let's say the only thing you care about on HBO Max is Peacemaker or whatever, Peacemaker. All you'd have to do is just go on Amazon Prime and buy the season digitally, or buy it on 4K and have it physically instead of paying $20-something a month. And the same thing with Netflix. Buy the shows that you want instead of paying for the whole service. I mean, you can't buy Stranger Things digitally on Amazon Prime, but eventually you'll be able to get them physically, I'm sure. So it's not worth it to be paying for all these different streaming services when really all you need is Amazon Prime and a 4K Blu-ray player. Just saying. The only exception is if you're a sports person. But even then, you can get a lot of sports packages on Amazon Prime. What games... hold on a second. Mine is a zombie virus breaks out. It's a 13+ rating. Okay. I am guessing it's nothing like Sonic Zombies by professional voice. What games do you really want to have? One of mine is not GTA 6. The ones I want are Proteus, Ace Attorney 7, Half-Life 3. I don't know. Let me look at some of the stuff that... me and Eighth are interested in Borderlands 4. Not because we think the story is going to be great, but just because Borderlands is a game series that we like to play in co-op together. But let me see. I had Lost Soul Aside pre-ordered, not because I was actually all that excited about it, but because I had a feeling that it might end up being a rare physical game. But then when I started seeing some of the early reviews on Steam, I decided to cancel that pre-order. So, I will not be getting a physical copy of Lost Soul Aside anymore. I wanted it for the collection, but, it's just not worth paying $60 for that at this point. All right, let me see here. What's some of the things that I have pre-ordered? Now, I already told y'all that I have the expansion for RoboCop pre-ordered, the physical version of it. I have a physical version of Ninja Gaiden Ragebound pre-ordered, but it doesn't have an arrival date. I have Ghosts of Yotai or whatever pre-ordered. That's showing up October 2nd. I have Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D remake pre-ordered. I have Trails in the Sky first chapter pre-ordered. And then for 8th, he has Silent Hill F pre-ordered. So there's not really anything new that's coming out that I'm excited about aside from the new Mafia game, because I'm just in the mood to play an Uncharted style game, and that's what it looks like. Wait a minute. Oh, magic powers. You really worked the system, 7th. Lol. Okay. From Mike Cassius, I have a Roku TV, been watching 2000s documentaries on there and movies like Hook. I have Hook on 4K. I'm done with sports ball outside of watching the Kentucky Derby every May. And that's another thing about Amazon Prime. There was a period that me and Eighth decided, what's the point of having physical movies anymore when they're streaming them at 4K now? And it was getting harder and harder to find physical media in stores. And so we went through a period where as soon as the movie hit digital, we just buy it. And so I have over 600 digital movies on my Amazon Prime account. Now, I have a large library of digital movies on Amazon Prime, and that's something you can do. The only thing I don't like is it doesn't give you sorting options for how those movies appear on the PlayStation Amazon Prime app. They appear in the order that you purchased them. So you can't alphabetize them or anything like that. You can't split them up into genre. They're just one long progressive line that starts at the very first movie that you bought and ends in the most recent one you bought. And it kind of sucks that way. But, I have hundreds and hundreds of movies on there to watch and shows. And now we're back into collecting physical. So we've got a bunch of 4Ks and regular Blu-rays for things that haven't been released in 4K, and building that back up. I'm done with sports outside of watching the Kentucky Derby every May. I got out of watching sports when Jordan retired. That was when I lost all interest in it. The last time I watched the Super Bowl was when the Buccaneers with Warren Sapp won, like in the early 2000s. And I only watched that one because I was living in Tampa at the time, and I didn't want to be that one idiot at work that didn't know what happened during the game. So I watched it. I met Warren Sapp once when he played for the Buccaneers. Me and my then wife and little baby Eighth were out and about in the Tampa area, and we stopped in at the Sonny's Barbecue for lunch. If you've lived in the South any period of time, you're familiar with the Sonny's Barbecue restaurant chain. They're famous for their all-you-can-eat ribs and fries baskets. Although in this economy, I don't know if they still do that or not. But we went walking in there, and there sat Warren Sapp by himself, and he had pushed 2 tables together and had both tables absolutely covered with plates of food. There was no visible space on that table. It was all plates of food, and it was all for him. He was there by himself. 2 tables of food, and he's just munching down. That was one of 2 times that we encountered the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The first time we encountered them was on our honeymoon because, of course, we went to Disney World for our honeymoon because she hadn't been to Disney World since she was like this wee little thing and could barely remember it. So I took her to Disney World for our honeymoon, and then we had some extra time and money after that. So when we were in Tampa, went back to Tampa because we were living in Tampa at the time, we went to Busch Gardens for the day. And while we were at Busch Gardens, when you walk past that first, I guess you would call it their main street. It's made to look like a African bistro with not a bistro, but an African shopping area of a village with vendors and stuff. You come around that corner, and there's an open air cafeteria type of thing that's been there since the 60s. So she was already ready for some lunch, and so we went walking in there, and we were, going down the cafeteria line, and in walks like 8 400-pound, 7-foot-tall Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Big, massive black dudes. They were like 7 foot tall. And one of them accidentally brushed my then wife with their elbow walking by. When you're that big, it's kind of hard to walk in an area like that without nudging somebody. She pitches a big fit about the fact that he did that. And he's like, she turns to me, "What are you going to do about it?" And I look past her up at the guy that elbowed her, and he turned around and just grinned, and I was like, what am I going to do against 8 7-foot-tall Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Absolutely nothing. He didn't mean it. Trust me. I believe in chivalry, and I'm not scared of nothing, but I ain't stupid neither. My little 5'8" odds against 8 7-foot-tall Buccaneers, not very good. Not very good. They would have ripped my redneck ass in twain. Glad to see you, man. Herbert here from Brazil. Yeah, Herbert, I remember you. I think you're the only person in Brazil that watches me. What's this machine below the white hat? Oh, you're talking about... That is a modded At Games Legends pinball. It's modded to run virtual pinball and has over 400 pinball machines installed on it. It's good, man. It's good. It's got digital versions of all of my favorite pinball machines from when I was a kid. Terminator's on there. Elvis is on there. Kiss is on there. Just all of the greats. The best pinball machines of the 70s, 80s, and 90s are all on there. I love it. I likes it a lot. The base machine, not that good because they don't have that many good licensed tables for it. And the hardware that comes with it is really weak. So we disconnected it from the base hardware it comes with, and it's running off of a PC that's down on the floor now. And we also replaced the screen with a 4K 100, well, not 4K, but 1440p 144 hertz refresh rate. So it now runs at over 60 frames per second. So it's nice. It's nice. Yes. I once met Icky Woods at a charity basketball game in Cincinnati. I don't know who that is. The other one with a lot of buttons under the white cap. Are you talking about this? This thing? This is my guitar effects processor. This is what gives me all of my special effects for my guitar. This is like a $700 or $800 effects pedal. I mean, it's not hooked up. I can pick it up and show it to you. It's really heavy. These ain't cheap. Took me a while to save up for that bad boy. And it runs right into my little digital audio interface, and that runs directly into my computer for use with Reaper. And so I just plug my guitar into this, pick out the effects I want, and off we go. Been a while since I've recorded a song though, because I just haven't been I'm not feeling good, I haven't really felt all that great since the move. Age is finally starting to kick in on me. My health ain't that great. And so it takes hours upon hours to create a song in Reaper. And I just don't feel like sitting here all that time. I've lost a lot of the finger speed that I used to have and the dexterity, and my hands and wrists are getting weaker day by day. It's pretty soon it may come to the point where I'm not even able to play guitar because of how bad my hands and wrists are starting to get. But it's the nicest effects pedal that I've ever had, or effects box. I remember that Frenchman or some sort of European you got into an encounter with. Yeah, that was at Disney World. It was right in front of Cinderella's castle. And I had injured myself on that trip. And so I injured my foot. And so I was riding around in a scooter. And I had picked out a place for me and my then fiance and 8th to watch the Main Street Electrical Parade. And I was the only one there, okay? I had picked out a space early. And so there was no one on this particular piece of the courtyard. Just me sitting in my scooter. And this French dude comes walking up and stands right next to me and puts his shopping bags down. And I said, sorry, man, do you want to scoot down a few feet? Because this is the spot that I picked for me and my I said my wife, but we weren't married yet, my wife and son. And he said, America's a free country. I don't see your name on any of this, it was basically, and I was like, look, man, this area is wide open, and I was already here, and I'm not moving. If you don't get away from me and give me enough space for my wife and son to stand next to me to watch the parade, I'm going to get up out of this chair, and you're not going to like what I do to you. And he moved. I wasn't going to put up with his snotty Euro trash attitude. So he narrowly avoided getting a 7th knuckle truffle sandwich, And I wouldn't have cared if I got thrown out of the park. I would have put him on his Frenchy ass if he hadn't have moved. If he played with me, I was not in the mood for it. My foot was hurt. I was having to humiliate myself riding around in a stupid scooter. Although it was meaning that we were getting to go to the front of the line on everything, but because whether I was actually disabled or not, they treated me like I was disabled. So every ride they were bringing us right to the front of the line because I was in a scooter. But yeah, I was ready to drop him like a bad habit. He just rubbed me the wrong way. And it's not like he was some big dude, He came up to here on me. And I'm not a tall man myself. And he came up just a little bit above my chin and was this scrawny dude that looked like he was maybe, 3 years older than me. And he just was scruffy looking. He had curly Eddie Vedder hair with a French little, what would you call it? Hipster beard. Not a full beard, but a little, not even a goatee, just this, like a pirate almost, like a little pencil mustache with a little bitty soul patch, and just acted like a complete snot, like he owned the frickin' place, and I was just, I was not having it. Not having it. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for other people from other countries coming to visit the United States. I'm all for it. Just don't be an a-hole. Respect the people around you. Don't be an a-hole. Because eventually you're going to be an a-hole to the wrong American who's going to drop you on your Euro trash ass. It's going to happen eventually. I just, was glad of the fact that he got the idea and backed off. Because I knew that if I dropped him, it was going to ruin the rest of the vacation for, Mrs. 7th, number 2, and 8th. Oh, I was about to give him. I was prepared. I wasn't going to like it, and I knew that it was going to make Mrs. 7th and 8th mad at me. But I got hot. Oh, I got hot at him. That dude rubbed me the wrong way. he was like, while this country is really fallen from its former greatness, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you're about to fall on your ass. You are about to fall on your ass. I wondered. Anyway, anyone else got questions? Because we're still sitting here at $12, and nobody's asking questions. So let's get it. That's not even a news story. That's a story that I've told before. So let's go. Ask some questions or something. Because as it stands, we still have 90 minutes of this left. I'm beginning to wonder if y'all are getting bored with me. Very hot weather, it says. Interesting. How hot is it? At 7:32 p.m., it is 93 degrees outside. Well, that's just lovely, isn't it? 93 degrees at 7:30 at night. Welcome to Texas. What do you think of Sonic getting so much crossovers with stuff lately? No offense, Blaze, I don't think about it that much because I haven't really been that big of a fan of Sonic since Sonic Adventure 2 on the Dreamcast. The movies are all right, but you got to remember, Blaze, I'm a 50-year-old man. I'm not as big into the mascot platformers as I used to be. Every now and again, I'll get a hankering to play one, like Astrobot, for example. But I'm just not, I was into Sonic back when the Genesis was a thing. And I liked Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 on the Dreamcast, and that's been about where it ended for me. Dreamcast died. I made the transition over to PlayStation with the PlayStation 2, which I'd had a PlayStation 1 as well, but that's the point where I got to where PlayStation was my platform of preference. And when Sega became a third-party publisher, I just found myself not caring as much about some of the stuff they were putting out, Sonic included. Did you like The Big Bang Theory? Or is everybody right on Twitter and that show was never actually funny? There are some episodes of it that I liked quite a bit. Usually involving their obsession with a particular game or a particular movie. I liked that kind of stuff. When it started to be like extremely where it was like Sheldon and Friends instead of The Big Bang Theory, that's when I started to not care about it as much. Because, Sheldon was funny, but there wasn't enough to that character on the original show to where I felt he could carry the whole show. It was different with Young Sheldon. That was a different kind of show. I actually liked Young Sheldon more than I liked The Big Bang Theory. Yes, the James Earl Jones episode was funny. One of the things that I did like with Sheldon was his rivalry with Will Wheaton. That's one of the only things that Will Wheaton has done since Stand By Me that I actually liked. Because I certainly never cared about Wesley on Star Trek The Next Generation. I was thrilled when his character was gone. But, I like nerdy stuff like that. I will say that when it comes to nerd sitcoms, Big Bang Theory had its moments. But overall, I think the IT Crowd was a better show as far as a nerd sitcom. I think IT Crowd was just a funnier show. My favorite being the Night at the Theater episode. That was my favorite episode of the IT Crowd of all time. I'm disabled. I'm disabled. I laugh just thinking about that episode. That episode feels like Seinfeld. The way the episode is plotted, where each happenstance just builds upon the next and upon the next, this causes this and this causes this and this to happen, and then it all loops back around at the end. It has that Seinfeld structure to it. And that episode cracks me up every time I watch it. The Family Guy joke of Carter enjoying Big Bang Theory makes sense. I know a lot of old folks like my grandparents who love it. Yeah, I don't really understand why old people would love that show, because you have to be nerd culture familiar to get most of the jokes on that show. You have to be into geek culture and nerdy stuff to be into that show. So the phenomenon of old people loving it, I don't really get, because most of them have no idea what any of the characters on that show are talking about. Unless, like, your grandparents are in their 50s, they're my age, then maybe that makes sense. But when I think of grandparents, I think of people that are, like, in their 70s and shit. Do you recognize longtime followers, supporters in your streams? What do you mean by recognize? I have pointed out before, this person's been with me watching me since 2009. I've done that a couple of times. But when you consider how many thousands of people have watched me or have been followers and subscribers over the last 16 years, it gets kind of hard to remember all those folks, Clean Frame. I'm by no means an e-celebrity. The highest my sub count ever was like 21,000. It's not like I ever made it to be, some super big channel. My biggest claim to fame was having over 1 million views on my Xbox review. Well, that and being in the Game Chaser movie, I guess. Man, y'all are boring me. Y'all are boring me. And I'm a person who's easily entertained. Where's my usual flood of questions at? I'm not getting them this time. Where is everybody at? Do you still like and play MAME games? Vendetta, TMT, Cadillac. What do you think I've got on that arcade cabinet behind me? Pong? That's got like every arcade game that I ever loved on it. Thousands of games on that. I got all the Final Fights. I got Cadillac and Dinosaurs, TMNT 1 and 2. Everything you can imagine arcade-wise. From like 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, all that stuff is on there. I hope I am a positive parasocial relationship in your life. Oh boy. Okay. Wow. I know you were joking, but wow. Parasocial relationships. A real paradise, I would say. The only thing I don't like about it is I haven't gotten the light guns hooked up yet because 8th was supposed to do it for me, and he didn't do it. So I haven't gotten to test out the light gun games. Meanwhile, they're taking pre-orders for the light guns for my Polymega, and I don't have the money to buy them. They're $107 a piece. And I don't have the money. I want to buy 2 so that, me and 8th could play 2-player light gun games on here. I don't have the money to buy them. Sucks. Meanwhile, the other thing that I was wanting to do was to run a splitter so I could run my Polymega over to my big screen TV in case I wanted to play retro games without getting out of my recliner. I haven't had the money to buy the cabling needed for that neither. So I've got lots of little projects around here that I want to do, and all of it took a back seat to getting 8th's tabletop gaming room done. And it's still not done, but it's done well enough that once the table is in there, we'll at least be able to go ahead and do the game room tour video. But even when the table gets here, it's still not going to be everything that we want because he doesn't have dedicated chairs for it because the table don't come with chairs. And so currently the only chairs that are in there are the chairs from our dining room suite, and the dining room table is in the room that's eventually going to become his workshop. And there's still shelving. There's still room for 2 more sets of shelves in there that haven't been bought yet neither. So, even when the table gets set up, it's still not, the room is still not going to be complete, but it'll be complete enough to where I'll feel okay about going ahead and doing the game room tour. But, everything else remaining that I wanted to do took a back seat to that. Like, for example, I want to get a jukebox for this room. And you see back there where that door is, that little nook there that has the posters, that's where the jukebox is going to go. I've set a space there for it. And I want to get me an old-timey looking jukebox with the little bubble things and all that on it to play records and stuff on. That also has Bluetooth where I can run my Spotify through it. And those are about $1,800. I don't have $1,800. That's one of the few things. There's only 2 things this room still needs, and it's that jukebox and to replace my TV. Everything else that I wanted to do with this room, it's already here. I got my pinball machine. I got my arcade cabinet. Now I just need a pinball machine. I need a jukebox, and I need to replace my TV. Because that TV is going on 8 years old. Needs to be replaced. And that also just all depends. Because, if the economy continues to be on the trajectory that it is now, who's to say I'll even have a bonus next year? Because the bonus is based on a formula that takes into account your tenure with the company, your current position, and how profitable the company was. And if the company ends up losing money instead of having a tidy profit, then I won't get much in the way of a bonus. Last year I got like $10,000 before taxes. After taxes it was like $6,600, but before taxes it was like $10,000. Do you have something that would relate to a casino machine? No, I don't care about that stuff. I have no nostalgia for like slot machines or anything like that. Closest thing to a slot machine I ever did was the pot of gold machines where it has like the little moving shelves, and the whole point is to try to get the moving shelves to push a bunch of coins down into the thing. That's the closest thing to a slot machine that I ever did when I was a kid. I've never been into gambling. Don't play blackjack. Don't play poker. None of that stuff. None of that stuff. Because I have a naturally addictive personality, And so, in all likelihood, if I started gambling, I'd become addicted to gambling. I managed to quit vaping a year ago when I moved here. It was not easy. The only way I was able to quit cigarettes was by switching to vaping. And now, I couldn't even go back to cigarettes if I wanted to. One, because it'd stink this whole house up. And so, every time I'd want to smoke, I'd have to go out in the front or back porch. And two, they're like $10 a pack now. $10 a pack for a pack of smokes. I haven't smoked regular cigarettes since 2012. And now I've quit vaping because it was costing me over $100 a month. Meanwhile, $10 a pack, that'd be $70 a week. That'd be $280 a month just to smoke cigarettes. Nah. Nope. Which, my dad smoked from the age of 13 to when he died. And, he died of undiagnosed heart disease, but he didn't have an ounce of cancer in him. He had no lung cancer, no colon cancer, no pancreatic cancer, no cancer at all. Meanwhile, on my mother's side, her brother died of cancer, her father died of cancer, but neither of them were smokers. I'm not going to lie. I miss smoking cigarettes. I miss it. It's just too damn expensive to do it. I wouldn't have any fear of getting lung cancer or anything from it because apparently my family, that just doesn't happen. But, they're too damn expensive. And plus, they just make you stink. You can shower 3 times a day. You're still going to smell like cigarettes if you're a smoker. It's going to be all in your hands. It's going to be all in your beard hair. It's going to be all in your clothes. Anytime you walk into anywhere, people are going to know you're a cigarette smoker because you smell like a damn chimney. It's gross. And you don't realize it's gross until you quit smoking and then you get within 3 feet of another person who smokes. And then you smell it on them and you think, Jesus Christ, this is what I smelled like in public for years? Nope. Nope. That was what I liked about vaping. Not so much that it was healthier for you, but that it didn't make you stink. You could vape all day long and you would just smell like you. And it's not like I even smelled any of the... It's not like I even vaped any of the really weird flavors like, pizza and, banana bread and all this different stuff that people... I smoked peppermint menthol. That's what I smoked. So, when I vaped, you smelled peppermint in the room. Peppermint, spearmint, there was a minty smell in the room, and it was menthol, so it'd give me this cold blast down my throat when I would inhale. That's what I liked. But it got too damn expensive to do, so I quit. And, man, I had withdrawal from nicotine. Oh, it was giving me vertigo for like 2 or 3 weeks. I was getting vertigo, getting dizzy. My vision got all messed up. It took me almost a month before the side effects of quitting vaping wore off. People talk about, vaping's not... No. It depends on how much you vaped. And I vaped all the time. The only time I wasn't vaping was when I was asleep. That's the other thing. You buy a pack of cigarettes, you smoke that pack, you're done. But with vaping, you just squeeze more juice into the tank. And, you're not like walking outside, smoking down to the filter, and then you're done for a while. You're like tugging on that all day long, non-stop. So you actually end up getting way more nicotine from vaping than you ever would from a pack of smokes. You just don't have all the carcinogens there from smoking regular cigarettes. But yeah, if I could afford it, and if I could still afford it, I would probably still be smoking one of the two. Because even though I've been off of it for a year, I still crave the crap. Because I have an addictive personality. That's why I never got into smoking weed or any of that stuff. I mean, I did some weed smoking when I lived in Florida because, half the girls that I was banging in Florida smoked weed, so it was kind of hard not to. But, I never did any of the harder stuff, Never got any more severe than pot, and I didn't get addicted to pot. Hello? Hello, folks. I mean, seriously, we've got 1 hour left, but if y'all don't start interacting, I'm just going to assume that y'all aren't into it this Saturday, and I'm going to shut it off. I don't have to be here. I can be doing other stuff. I could be doing other things right now. I don't have to be sitting here talking to y'all. And, you ain't talking back, so y'all need to start asking questions, or I'm just going to shut it down in about 7 minutes. And y'all just get 2 hours this time instead of 3. Because I'm not going to sit here for another hour just talking to myself with nobody asking questions. Follow the controller. Kneel before 7th. Let's go. Show me some respect here and ask some questions. Jeez. Talk about party poopers. The 6th is my father. The 6th is dead. He died in 2004. 8th is with his friends at a pool party. Let's see here. Sounds like 8th left his phone at home too. 8th never appears. Well, 6th, of course, 6th never appears in front of the camera because 6th is dead. 8th shows up in front of the camera every now and again, but it's very rare because he's just not the extrovert that I am. I'm a naturally outgoing person. I like to, put on a show. 8th is not like that. So you're not as likely to see 8th on camera as you would be to see me. 8th did do a podcast with some friends of his for a while, but even then he didn't show his face on camera. It was just him on a hot mic talking over gameplay footage with his friends. So he's not that big on being on camera. It's just not part of who he is. You usually have about 20 people in here. There was a time where my average was 60 to 100 people. I wonder what event is happening to take people's time today. Somebody else suggested that everyone was playing the Battlefield 6 beta. If there was one video game character you wanted to be real and meet them, who would it be and what would you do with them? I can't think of anyone that I would want to be real because, I don't get into those kind of what-if fantasy scenarios, man. I'm not Chris Chan. I don't believe that every fictional character actually exists in a parallel universe. That's a very Chris Chanish question there, Blaze. 6 isn't even a skeleton. He was cremated. That shows you're a short-timer, Shadow, because I've told that story, too. How we had 6 cremated and then took and sprinkled his ashes all around the Magic Kingdom at Disney World over 20 years ago. Sprinkled him in the Seven Seas Lagoon, sprinkled him in Pirates of the Caribbean, sprinkled him in the Haunted Mansion. We just put a little bit of dad everywhere. Which, is that legal? No. But it's not an uncommon thing. Lots of people do it. There's bits of dead people all over Disney World. It's just is what it is. Just is what it is. And they try to discourage people from doing it by saying, these rides are meticulously vacuumed and cleaned every night, so your relatives are not. No, not the way I did it. Trust me. When the next time any of you go to Disney World and you ride Pirates of the Caribbean or you ride the Haunted Mansion, my dad is there. You are there with my father. Trust me. His DNA is in that ride. And he's in the Seven Seas Lagoon. And he's in Bay Lake. Back behind the Contemporary. And he's on Space Mountain. Yep. Because that was one of my dad's favorite places. And so I wanted him to always be a part of it in one way or the other. So, they can vacuum all they want. They can flush out the water in the Pirates of the Caribbean ride all they want. Because it wasn't the water that I put him. And he's not going to get vacuumed up. Afraid not. Nope. You could go into those rides and clean them Dexter style with, mixtures of bleach and stuff that can destroy blood stains. And, little bits of my dad are still going to be in those two rides. It just is what it is. It just is what it is. Is there some sort of conspiracy that there's no federal holiday in August? Is that kind of weird? Never really thought about it. Never gave it much thought. I know Canada has a holiday in August because some of my Canadian co-workers just had it. Which, by the way, we have 1 hour remaining. We've had $12 in donations. The last time I was here 2 weeks ago, we only had $7 in donations. We are $38 away from extending by 1 hour. So I guess it's looking like y'all aren't going to get a review of the new Mafia game. Oh well. Oh well. I know a Chris Chan-like character was in the Sonic Boom cartoon. I did not watch the Sonic Boom cartoon because I'm a grown-ass man. Mm. Mm. Oh, I'm starting to feel it a little bit. Come on, guys. Questions, 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 questions. Gotta have some questions. Because otherwise, I'm just calling it a night. You know, because ain't nobody gonna give me any watch time hours off of this anyway. If y'all ain't asking questions that I can turn into entertaining anecdotes to keep people watching. So what would be the point of going for another hour if y'all ain't gonna ask questions? Riddle me that, Batman. Let's see here. Anything newsworthy going on here? Nope, it don't appear so. I was going to look and see if there's anything newsworthy going on gaming-wise here on my feed, but that don't appear to be the case. That don't appear to be the case. Just boring stuff that don't entertain me. It just makes me fall asleep. Nothing. Nothing, and y'all have all stopped asking questions. That's weird, yo. That's weird. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. What are your thoughts about asset flip games? It's not something that I really run into that much, to be honest with you. I tend to see that more in Japanese games than anything else. I see that a lot with Japanese games. And you'll see that, well, you'll see it in a lot of indie games too, where they're literally just using the assets that come in asset packs for the game engine that they're using, the like Unreal and whatnot. And so a lot of indie games, you'll just see like the same storefronts and stuff because they just got them out of asset packs and just flipped them around and what have you. It's lame. It's lame. I mean, even if I did hit $50 tonight, I wouldn't be able to go out and buy Mafia. I'd have to wait until the 21st when I get the YouTube money. Because the money that I get from when y'all donate to Super Chat, I don't get that the same night. I have to wait for YouTube to do their monthly payout. Are you a Metal Gear fan? No! If so, how do you feel about Metal Gear Solid 5? It's fun to watch other people play it. But I don't have any interest in playing it myself because I'm not big on stealth mechanics. They're kind of boring to me. We've heard about your main family members and that one cousin. Can you tell us about your favorite uncle or aunt? I had several uncles, and all of them had their own appeal. On my father's side, I had Uncle Tot and yes, that was his name, and his brother, my Uncle Aby. My Uncle Tot was a fire captain. My Uncle Aby was a bail bondsman. On my mother's side, was my Uncle Ronnie. And he's the one that I actually resemble physically. In the face, I look like a mixture of my father and my Uncle Ronnie. And he was also a fire captain. Well, he was a fire chief. My Uncle Tot was a fire captain. My Uncle Ronnie was fire chief. And, I could tell some stories. Like my uncle one time went out to a fire. This was in the middle of February. And they had him up on that ladder. And, they had the hose up there and they were spraying the top of this building that was on fire. And he was on the ladder. And, of course, the water was trickling down. Well, he was up there for a few hours. And his hands got frozen to the ladder. And they couldn't get him down. Because all the water that was falling from that hose froze his hands to the ladder. So they had to lower the ladder with him on it, turn it around and lay it flat on the back of the truck. And he had to ride all the way back to the fire station like this, just laying on his belly with his hands stuck to that ladder, so that when they got to the fire station, they couldn't pull it in, and because he was stuck to it. So they had to go up there with buckets of warm water and pour those buckets of warm water over his hands so they could pry him loose of the ladder. One time, he was driving the fire engine, and he forgot to engage the parking brake when he got out of it. And so that fire engine just went rolling down the street because they were on a hill. They were like this. And it just went rolling down the street, and it slammed into a bunch of cars. He didn't get fired or anything, but he got in trouble for it. But he was a guy that, even though he didn't have a college degree, he knew a lot about a lot of things. He could fix just about anything. He knew all about plumbing and electricity. He knew all about tax law. He was not an accountant or anything, but the whole family would go to him to file their taxes to get the biggest possible refund, because he knew the tax code inside and out. For a while there, he ran his own auto parts shop as a second job. I have a lot of memories of having Thanksgiving dinner at his fire hall. Now, you haven't really had a Thanksgiving dinner until you've had a fire hall Thanksgiving dinner, because the wives of all those firemen go out of their way trying to have the best food at Thanksgiving. So you walk in there, and there's row upon row of table covered in food. Covered in food. And everybody there eats themselves into a Thanksgiving coma. And so, they're all talking big about watching the game, everybody getting together and watching the football game. All of them passed out asleep in the den area of the fire hall where the big screen TV was, and just passed out dead asleep. And the fire hall had a basketball court outside. You had ping pong and every channel on the cable that you could want and whatnot. It was fun hanging out at the fire hall, just like it was fun hanging out at the police service center too. But fire hall was a little bit more fun because it was like a house that they all lived in. So it was almost like being at a frat house. But on Thanksgiving, you'd eat yourself sick, and then you'd pass out in the fire hall, wake up a couple hours later, go home. But we went on vacation, and in his older years, my Uncle Ronnie had a better than passing resemblance to Walt Disney. And he had a fedora-like hat that had a little bit of a wider brim than a fedora, but he would wear that when we go to Disney World. And so people would think that he was Roy Disney Jr., the son of Walt Disney's brother, walking around in the park. And so that was funny to see people like pointing at him and coming up and asking him for autographs and stuff, and he'd have to tell them, "Oh no, I'm not Roy Disney. I'm not." It was funny. It was funny. Hi, Stranded J. How's it going, sir? Haven't seen you in here lately. What's up? I think the weirdest thing that ever happened to me at Disney World was I was there with my family and my best friend. We'd brought my best friend with me. I was 17 years old. And there was this family that kept pointing at me. And I sent my best friend over to kind of get near them, to listen to them, to find out why they kept pointing at me. And I don't know why. I have no clue why. But this family was convinced that I was the son of Magnum PI star Tom Selleck. They thought I was Tom Selleck's son, and they were sitting there debating about whether they were going to walk over and ask for my autograph and ask what my dad was like. Well, meanwhile, I'm sitting there with my parents, with my father, who certainly did not look like Tom Selleck, and yet I'm Tom Selleck's son. It weird that the ideas that people get in their heads. Strange stuff. Anyway, we got 45 minutes left. 45 minutes, and we're $38 away from the hour expansion. You're building a house, busy selling the one we have, moving in next month. Nice. Nice. Hope you didn't build a house in Tornado Alley. That's what I hope. You know, it's weird because I'm sure for you, the chat is over there. But for me, the chat is right there. And so I'm looking over here at the chat, but you're looking over there at the chat. Y'all are killing me. Where's the questions? Come on. Come on, Cletus. Come on. I ain't got all night, y'all. This has been one of the deadest 7thCasts I've had in a long time. Y'all just ain't in it tonight. What is up? Y'all killing me. $7 2 weeks ago, $12 this week. And hardly any questions. And, 7 to 10 people less than what we usually get. What is up? Iowa is every type of weather. I don't know, man. More power to you, but Iowa would not have been my first pick. The chat hasn't been up in about 5 weeks. Yeah, well, I didn't do one for the last 2 weeks, and then that third week, everyone was kind of not into it. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they think that hitting that $660 was like the pinnacle of what this show is going to be. And so it's like, all right, we've seen the best it's going to be. It's all downhill from there. It's It's entirely possible. It's entirely possible. Y'all just don't love me no more. Y'all just don't love me no more. You know, if y'all don't want to donate, fine, but at least ask questions. I mean, come on. Give me something to talk about. Come on. Y'all are killing me. You're killing your 7th. You're killing your 7th. I don't know what's up with y'all. I just don't know. Bunch of the regulars aren't here tonight. I don't know what the deal is, yo. I don't know what the deal is. Maybe it's because I went 2 weeks not being able to stream. Everybody just assumed I wasn't going to be here 3 weeks in a row. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know, man. I mean, I've already talked about every show that I've been watching. I've talked about every game that I've been playing. I don't have that many more topics. You know, I wanted to go see that new horror movie, Weapons, but I didn't have the money to go, so I just stayed home. Especially because every time I start to get excited for a horror movie and everyone is like, that movie was so messed up. I was not expecting that at all. Oh, it was so good. And then I'll go see it and it's garbage. Like the last time that happened, it was the same guy that created this movie Weapons. And it was for that movie Barbarian. That movie was garbage. Barbarian was awful. And that's why ultimately I decided not to spend money to go see Weapons at the theater, because I felt it was just going to be another Barbarian where everyone is trying to convince me that it's great and I go see it and it's trash. Everybody thought the show was going to end after you reach the table goal. I never said that. I never said that. I said we were never going to top that goal. I didn't say that I was going to end the show after that. Shame, shame, shame. Shame on y'all. I tell you. Y'all just breaking my heart today. Breaking my heart. Don't love me no more. Scotty doesn't know, ain't asking nothing. The one named Shadow ain't asking nothing. Do I like chicken parmesan? Is that where... Yes, I like chicken parmesan. I haven't had it in years. The last time I had it was at an Olive Garden. But I like chicken parmesan. Herbert from Brazil hasn't asked anything since he asked about slot machines. Mike Cassius hasn't asked anything since he mentioned Family Guy and Big Bang Theory. Darkstar, Fat Joe, where y'all at? Where's Got Comics Gate? He came in to donate $5 and then asked a couple more questions after that and then was gone. He was gone. Living legend, where are you at? Why ain't you asking nothing? Where'd you go? Y'all killing me. You're killing your 7th. You're killing your 7th. What's the first time you ever got pissed at a game because of its difficulty, and what was the game? My earliest memory of getting angry at a game over its difficulty was Ninja Gaiden. Because when I say it took me a year to master it, what I really mean is that it took me a year to get to the final boss of the last level. Because I mastered everything else. And then I'd get to Jakio, and I just couldn't get his pattern down, and I'd get my butt kicked. And finally, I figured out that, I would get to him, let him kill me, then go back through level 6 again and get the weapon that would flash the big, multiple balls of fire in one direction. And I'd get in there and I'd blast him with that. And then I got good enough to where I could kill the final boss, the alien-looking thing, just with the sword, just with the katana, not needing a special weapon. But it took me a year to get all of the levels that down where I could do that. And so I remember getting like very angry and frustrated and throwing controllers. Yeah. Play No More Heroes. The Naked Gun movie is said to be a revival of pure comedy in the theaters. That being said, what was the last pure comedy that you saw in the theater? The Vacation reboot, maybe? Or Hangover 3, perhaps? Can't remember. It's crazy how quickly the arcade 1-up hype died. I just sold all 5 of my machines for $250 just to get the space pack. How's your arcade treating you, 7? I'm perfectly happy with mine. I never bought into the arcade 1-up hype because I just didn't think that the arcade 1-ups provided that great or authentic of an experience. These, rinky-dink little things that you had to buy a booster seat for it to stand on top, a booster stool for it to stand on top of, just to make it anywhere near close to an actual arcade experience. And so because of that, then you had to buy these stools to sit on to play it with, because it wasn't really tall enough for the average height person to stand and play. So I never got into those. I think the At Games Legends arcade cabinet is vastly superior to what they've done with the arcade 1-ups. People just liked those because they could buy them for $400 or $500 a pop and build a little mini arcade in the garage or whatever. I would rather have just one actual arcade-sized machine that has all the games I want to play on it on one machine than have a bunch of machines, running 3 or 4 games on them a piece just to give it this visual look of, the arcade at the Lollipop Guild, How much money do you think GTA 6 is going to make? Probably, I don't know, because of the way the economy is. Because now, the rumors are that game's going to cost $120. And if it comes out at that price, I don't know how many copies are going to be sold. I just don't know in this economy. We'll see. We'll see. I don't think it'll flop by any means, but I don't know that it's going to do, GTA 5 numbers, because, you're talking about definitely not going to be no $60. Definitely not. Anyways, guys, we're down to the last 35 minutes, and we are still $38 away from extended by an hour, which obviously no one's really excited about that, no how. Or y'all would be asking way more questions. This one is so bad, I don't even know if I'm going to allow the replay to be on up. This just seemed like a bad night to do this for some reason. I have no idea what's going on and where everybody is at. But this is probably one of the worst 7th casts in a long time. Tell you one thing about that other uncle I was telling you about, Uncle Tot. if he gave you a gift, it was best if you just considered it more of a loaner. Because, like, when I was a baby, he gave my parents a crib and all these clothes and all this other stuff. And then when his daughter had her first son, who I was 3 years older than, he came and just took everything that he had ever given me as a gift, packed it up in his truck, and took it up to his daughter and gave her all that stuff. And true, some of it was stuff that I didn't use anymore, like, the crib and the clothes, because I'd outgrown those clothes. But there was other things that he had given me that I had not outgrown, including stuff he had given me for, like, my birthday and stuff. And he just came and got it all, packed it up in his truck, and he took it back to her. That was my Uncle Todd. Seems like comedy is becoming endangered. Well, yeah, because there's too many things considered offensive now for comedies to fully succeed in theaters. I'm surprised Naked Gun even made it to the theater. I'm surprised it didn't go direct to video. Thoughts on the Klonoa series? They're okay, but I never really got that big into them. I never really liked the 2.5D platformers of that era that much. Same thing with, what was the one with the pig, Tonga or whatever? Can't remember the name of it. I didn't like it either. How's your dog doing? She's asleep. I know she's asleep because if she was awake, she'd be in here asking to get in my lap. So I know she's asleep. Do you think Fortnite should die? Well, I know that there are people that enjoy playing it, but if it went down to, went offline tonight, never came back, I wouldn't I wouldn't lose any sleep over it. Wouldn't mean no never mind to me. Because I don't care about that game. Have you played the Ape? Yeah, Tomba. I hated Tomba. Never was into it. Have you played the Ape Escape series? Yes. Yes, I've played several of the Ape Escape games. I'm not a tremendous fan of them. But I did play them back in the day. In fact, the Ape Escape area was my least favorite part of Astrobot. Because I'm just not that big a fan of Ape Escape. And you see, I actually shaved clean for this show. And y'all didn't even bother to show up. For my 50-year-old butt. Why not? Why not? Have I not given you 16 years of entertainment? I tell you. There was some new comedy that was posted on Amazon Prime. Some action comedy. Maybe I'll watch that tonight. How many female gamers have you encountered in your lifetime? Lots, because I go to gaming conventions and they're full of them. When you go to gaming conventions, you'll see female cosplayers and female geeks and female collectors. They're all over the place, man. And when I'd go to the arcade, especially in Florida, when we go on vacation, Panama City Beach. Panama City Beach in the 80s was a lot different than what Panama City Beach is now. Panama City Beach now, they're actually trying to discourage kids from coming there for spring break. And they're trying to make it kind of an upper crust beach resort area. But that's not what Panama City Beach was in the 80s. In the 80s, it was more like going to Gatlinburg. It was just a whole bunch of touristy stuff down a long strip, the Miracle Strip, they called it. And so you had, a water park, you had 2 amusement parks, you had arcades and and stuff like that all the way down the strip. I mean, you could literally walk down the main strip and there'd just be a building there that all it was a prize counter and 6 skee ball machines. And so you could play skee ball like right on the street. You'd like step off the street and here'd be a building just big enough for a prize counter and 6 skee ball machines. And the whole strip was full of stuff like that all the way down. It's a totally different experience than what it is now. There was like just an Americana kitsch thing going on there. They had a store there that was almost like the Casa Bonita of Florida, and it was called Alvin's Magic Mountain. And the store was built around this fake volcano, and you could go up in the volcano, kind of like Black Bart's Cave or whatever in Casa Bonita. And they didn't have a restaurant, but you had all these different extracurricular activities. They had like they had an alligator pit and all sorts of other stuff in there. They had tattoo artists in there, and you could literally walk into it from the beach, because you had an entrance in the front and you had an entrance in the back. And the entrance in the back, you walked down some stairs, walked out there, and then there was like a wooden deck, and you'd walk down the deck and you'd be on the beach. And it was this fantastic store, and it got tore down I want to say like 2019 or something like that. It wasn't that incredible long ago. They finally tore the thing down because it violated several codes. There was various code violations, and it was cheaper for the owners to just tear it down and build a new building than it was to bring that old building up to code. But God, I loved walking around in there. It was so much fun. That was my favorite store in Panama City. And I loved the Miracle Strip. Miracle Strip Amusement Park. Loved it. Loved it. And I loved the arcade. You go walking into that arcade, and I have looked. There is no footage of that arcade. No one ever took their camcorder into that arcade and filmed it. No one. There's no footage on YouTube of it at all. Not even any pictures. But you'd walk in there, and it was kind of old and dingy in there, but they had like fantastic prize games for winning prizes. Their prize counter was massive. It had all sorts of really cool stuff in it that you didn't normally see at amusement park prize counters, you know. And there was girls walking around in bikini tops with, you know, wraparound tied skirts, you know, covering up a bikini bottom thing. Just walking around in their sandals like that, smelling of cocoa butter. You know, oh, it was glorious. It was glorious. You're just not going to find that anymore. You're not going to find an arcade at an amusement park on a beach with girls in bikinis walking around in it. You're not going to see that anymore. Not really. There may be an arcade in Daytona that's on the boardwalk, maybe, that you can walk in and see something like that. But I can't think of many other places that you'd be able to see it, especially not in this day and age. That was a special time, and that's one of the places that I want to cover in that new video series. I miss that little amusement park. It wasn't all that big. Yeah, it had like maybe 25 rides, and the most famous one being the Starliner wooden roller coaster. But, man, I love that park. I'd always come home with full trash bags of all the stuff that I won in their prize games. Because I was good at their prize games, man. Especially this game they had called 21, where you had these rubber balls and you'd roll them down this ramp. And at the end of the ramp was a bunch of holes that represented cards in a deck of cards. And so you had to get the ball to fall into the right holes to get 21 or under. You know, the closer you got to 21 without going over, the more tickets that you won. And I was really good at that game. Really good at it. Ever had any problems with ground bees? My grandma got stung 18. I've never had ground bees. I had what we called dirt daubers, which are basically a breed of wasp that instead of building a nest, they just dig holes in the ground and their nest is in the ground. And so I had an encounter with them once where I went running over one of their nests and they came swarming up out and swarmed me. And of course, wasps aren't bees. They can sting you over and over again and be fine. But they stung me up pretty bad. What color was the representation of electricity to you growing up? Light blue or gold? I don't know that there was ever any official color that represented electricity. Not that I can think of. You never did, Mike Cassius. I never did spring break. My family knows people whose nephew died falling off of a balcony drunk. I never did spring break either. When I was at Panama City, it was for vacation with my family. We only ever went to Panama City for vacation 3 times in my lifetime. When I was 7, when I was 13, and when I was 16. Those are the 3 times that we went. And every single one of them was extremely memorable. I loved that place. It was so tourist trapped back then. Because the first time we went, they had 2 amusement parks. They had the Miracle Strip amusement park, and they had one based on that old TV show, Petticoat Junction. So they had the Petticoat Junction theme park years after the show had gone off the air. And it had one of the most unique dark rides that I've ever ridden. It was called the Magic Carpet Dark Ride. And it was kind of like riding the Peter Pan ride at the Magic Kingdom. And you were sitting on a magic carpet thing that was suspended, from an arm above it to give you the illusion of flying over stuff. And it was so neat. There's no video of that either, because that park closed in 1982. So there's like little pieces of Super 8 footage of that park, but there's no video of that magic carpet ride. I've looked. Shawn Michaels or Bret the Hitman? Bret Hart. What's the wildest thing you ever witnessed at a game convention? I can't really say, man. I'm sorry. What happens at the con stays at the con. I have seen some shit, though. I have seen some shit. But there was a lot of people in those rooms, and I would get in trouble if I started talking about some of the stuff that I've seen in those room after parties. Ooh, boy. Seventh, go watch Weapons. It's a horror movie with a great story. I don't have the money to go see it right now. Otherwise, maybe I'd get in the car and go see it tomorrow, but don't really have the money for doing that right now. I got to conserve my gas, and because I don't get paid till the 15th. And even then, I got to save up for Halloween, because I can't let the kids of the neighborhood down. Everyone loved what I did last Halloween, so I have to repeat that. So I've got to have the money to buy up the candy for that and what have you. What are some games you feel need a remake? I answer with the same game every time one of y'all asks me that. My answer is Legend of Dragoon. What's up, 7th? Hi, Sage J. How's it going? We got 20 minutes left, folks. 20 minutes left. We are $38 short of extending the show. Well, of course, another thing about Panama City Beach that doesn't exist anymore. Well, it's still there. I don't think they've torn it down, but it's abandoned. But at one point, Panama City Beach had the largest by square foot nightclub in the country. It was called Club La Vila. And some of you who were fans of WCW in the 90s would be familiar with it, because they filmed a few episodes of Nitro at this club. When you saw any episode of Nitro where the ring was in the middle of this giant swimming pool with a bunch of drunk kids around it with red cups, that was Club La Vila. It was the largest nightclub in the country. Massive nightclub. huge, and it was right on the beach. You could walk right into the right up off the sand into that nightclub. Of course, you had to get past security to get in and whatnot. You had to have a minimum level of clothing on, but yeah, you could walk right up to it from the beach, and it was massive nightclub. And it went out of business sometime around the pandemic or whatnot, and they've never torn it down or anything. It's just sitting there abandoned and empty, rotting in the Florida sun. Get better. I'm not sick. I mean, other from the outside of the things that are always wrong with me. What you talking about, Sage? What you talking about? Oh. 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 My back. My back be hurting, y'all. It be hurting. Oh. Do 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 do. I like Dexter, but like I said, man, the first 4 seasons were the only ones that were good. This new one is pretty good. The one in New York, it's interesting so far. It's kind of corny though, because it's the plot of it is really not very believable compared to the show. Which, I mean, the show, one of the biggest things that made the original show, even though I loved the original first 4 seasons, one of the things that made that show unbelievable was I spent some time in Miami. I'd had to go to Miami several times when I was working as a field technician in Florida in the early 2000s. And so you would see in Dexter, Dexter would be at the police station. And then he'd get a call. You need to come do this with your kid. And so he would leave. And then you'd see him at the house. And then they'd say, we need you back at the station. We've got a crime scene to investigate. So then you'd see him showing up at that crime scene. And then there'd be something else that happened to his apartment. So he'd go back to his apartment. And this would all be in the course of one day. BS. There was no way some of the locations that he was at, that he was getting from that location to that police station, back to his apartment, over to his girlfriend's house, back to this other place, because the traffic in Miami is a nightmare. It was physically impossible for him to have visited all the places that he would go in one episode in the course of one day. And so I really had to force myself to forget what Miami was like to enjoy that show. Because he'd be at that police station, and I knew where that was. I'd been where that, I don't even think it was a police station, but I remember where that building was. And then you'd see him all the way over in Hialeah. And then he would be going from Hialeah all the way back over to where Rita's house was. And I'm like, and the sun would still be up. And I'd be like, BS. There's no way. No way. Unless you've got somebody airlifting you by helicopter to all these different places, there ain't no way you're getting to all those places with the sun's still up in the course of one day. It's not possible. Don't tell me. I've been to Miami. I know what Miami's like. I've been in Hialeah. I've been on Lejeune Road. I've been at South Beach. I know. Yeah, it's probably the same thing with all those crime shows that take place in Los Angeles. But it was especially noticeable with Dexter because, I was fairly familiar with Miami, and Miami is sprawled out like L.A. It is a huge metropolitan area. And you're not telling me that he was able to go to all these different places he would go in the course of one day in one episode. No. No. Not even close. Not even close. And another thing was there was no way that these police detectives on a police detective salary could afford the houses and the apartments that it showed them living in Miami. Ain't no way. No. Just obnoxiously unrealistic. Because, even Dexter's apartment, which Dexter's apartment was about the size of my first apartment in Florida. But my first apartment in Florida wasn't on the bay. It wasn't right on the water. Okay? My first apartment in Florida was in Jacksonville, Florida, up the street from the Food Lion, 20 minutes away from the beach. You ain't telling me that he could afford that apartment working the forensics department. You're not, no. I ain't buying it. Because, my dad was a beat cop, but he also spent years working as a homicide detective. And he eventually got sick of it and went back to being a beat cop because he got tired of looking at dead bodies all the time. So, I know full well, even then, cops didn't get paid for crap. So unless that's, magically changed in the last 20 years, where every cop is making the six figures, ain't no way. Ain't no way. By the way, we got 12 minutes left and we're $38 short. Which do you think is cooler, gorillas or chimpanzees? Chimpanzees. They're funnier. Still as likely to kill you, but they're funnier. I saw a trailer for that new Aliens Earth show that's coming out. Which, to be honest with you, that's what should have followed Jim Cameron's Aliens. Instead of the Alien 3 we got, Alien 3 should have taken place on Earth with an infestation on Earth. So it's like, massive xenomorph invasion versus Space Marines and Ripley. That's what should have happened. And instead, we got that piece of crap Alien 3, which was god-awful. But now we're getting a show about an alien infestation on Earth. I hope it's good. I hope they don't squander the idea. And it gets the scope and the scale that it needs. But I'm not optimistic. 10 minutes left, folks. 10 minutes left. We've only had $12 donated all night. Even Stranded J didn't donate to me. And he's known me for years. After all, I'm his father. His adopted father. A soulless ginger could never come from my loins. I've been abandoned and betrayed. 10 minutes left, folks. 10 minutes left. Now, I think maybe tonight I'll give that Dexter prequel a try. That Dexter Origins or whatever. Although the actor that they picked to play young Dexter doesn't look anything like that actor. He does not look anything like Dexter at all. He's taller. He's lankier. He has this great big nose that the original actor doesn't have. I don't know why they do that. I mean, even the guy that plays young Batista in the trailer looks like young Batista. And the character that plays young Deb looks kind of like young Deb. But the one they got to play young Dexter doesn't look like Dexter at all. He's about 5 inches too tall for one thing. But then and he's lanky. He doesn't have, he's not more stockily built like Dexter was. And he has that big schnoz. I don't know, man. Maybe the show will be good. I don't know. I mean, they got Christian Slater playing Dexter's dad, which I'm afraid that's going to feel too much like him playing the alternate personality on all that show with Rami Malek or whatever, where he was a hacker. Can't even remember the name of it now. I'm afraid it's going to feel too much like that. Anyway, 8 minutes left. I remember when Christian Slater back in the 90s was showing up in everything. He was in Gleaming the Cube, and then all of a sudden he was in everything. He was in Robin Hood Men in Tights. He was just showing up every time you turn around. Not Men in Tights, but Robin Hood Prince of Thieves. He was showing up in all this different stuff, and he had his own movies too. Like he had this police comedy called Cuffs that was pretty funny. It was pretty entertaining. Pump Up the Volume, of course, is quintessential Christian Slater. And then all of a sudden, he just kind of dropped off the face of the earth, and the next thing you know, he's making schlock for Uwe Boll and crap like that. It's like, what happened to you, Christian Slater? You had so much potential. You could have been the next Jack Nicholson, Christian Slater. What happened to you? And once again, y'all all just stop talking. I don't know what's with y'all tonight. I really don't. I don't know. What did I do to you? Nothing. All I've ever tried to do was entertain you. And this is how I'm repaid. 16 years! Are you having Pedro Pascal fatigue? I've never been a big fan of him to begin with. I think when I really got sick of him was Wonder Woman 2. Holy. That was just bad. That was just bad. And that's when I was like, you know what? I think I could use a break from this guy. Hello, 7th. I've been checking out the free Battlefield 6 beta. Okay. And yeah, Happy Gilmore was pretty good. Wasn't the worst thing. I don't think it was a necessary sequel, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. It made me laugh. Didn't make me laugh as much as the first one when I saw it at the theater, but it made me laugh all the same. When an actor gets shoved in our faces these days, I think they're being propped up. Yeah, sometimes. Pedro Pascal, Renee Zegler. And you can cite numerous examples. I thought they were really going to do that with Oscar Isaac, but I think Oscar doesn't need it as much as Pedro Pascal does. I think Oscar Isaac is a better actor, for one thing. In fact, I think I would have rather seen Oscar Isaac in the role of Mr. Fantastic than Pedro Pascal, but maybe that would actually cause him to be stepping into that idea of I'm being seen too much, I'm getting too many roles. Somehow Palpatine returned. That was like some of the worst writing. Ow. J.J. Abrams should be flogged for that one. For real. 4 minutes left, folks. 4 minutes left. Get your questions in. Because I'm telling you right now, $38 ain't showing up in the next 4 minutes. Just relaxing my back for a minute. 4 minutes. 4 minutes. La 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 la. Jar Jar Abrams. Yeah, I think the first time I heard that was from that whole fandom menace group, like with Doomcock and all those guys. Nerdrotic. I actually kind of like Nerdrotic, actually. And Doomcock can be funny from time to time, but most of those guys, I don't watch them. The only ones I really watch are Nerdrotic and Doomcock, and the rest of them I don't pay any attention to. And even Doomcock gets some like weird stuff from his sources that never pans out. So I mainly just watch him and Nerdrotic because they make me laugh. They're funny. Yeah, I think we're witnessing a sort of console market crash right now. It's not going to be the same as the one in '83, but it's still going to cause a lot of change. Has a big schnoz ever ruined a show for you before? I can't say that I recall that, no. Not off the top of my head. 2-minute warning, folks. 2 minutes left. Ooh. I drank all my drink. I got no drink left. No more drink. Hope you have a good night. See you next time. Yeah, see you, Mike. Wow. I apologize to those who are going to sit through the replay on this. It's not my fault. I tried. I tried to be entertaining. I just didn't have enough people in here tonight and not enough questions. My apologies to y'all who sat through all 3 hours hoping it got better, only to end on this and realize that no, you wasted 3 hours. I apologize. I tried my best, and I came up short. Anyway, what can you do? What can you do? You try to put on a good show. You try to be entertaining, but when your show consists of, Q&A, if the questions aren't there, what can you do? What can you do? You think I'm actually going to take the time to sit down and write a bunch of topics to discuss? No, because I don't have a co-host to bounce off of. I bounce off of you guys. And if you're not bouncing back, tonight is what happens. Anyway, it's 9 o'clock. We had $12 in donations. We did not hit the $50 goal. So this is where I'm going to be closing up shop. Hopefully I'll be back. And hopefully when I'm back, there'll be more people in here who will actually ask a bunch of questions and keep things entertaining and fun. Here's to hoping. Anyway, I will hopefully see you guys again at that juncture, Same 7th time, same 7th channel.